The Philadelphia 76ers finished as the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference and got swept in the first round. Now, if I were to tell you that going into the beginning of the year when the season first started, you would have called me insane. Lots of people had the Sixers as either the 1 seed or the 2 seed, and I had them as the 1 seed, I think. I think I had them as a 1 seed too. This team looked really good, okay? So, I guess I'm just looking at this. I was incredibly disappointed seeing how bad the Sixers really were and how awful the roster construction was. And it makes me wonder, what went wrong? Because going into the season, we thought that this team would be really good, and they should have been better than they were. But at the end of the day, they weren't good enough to even win a game in the playoffs. And I know Ben Simmons was hurt, but you still should have at least got one game. That's not a lot to ask. You're paying 2 guys max contracts still on the roster. Not 2, 3. Oh my gosh. 3. Oh my gosh. I totally forgot how much Horford is making. It may not be a full max, but it is dang close. Oh God. Okay. Let's look at this, because Philly can get back to being an Eastern Conference contender. Next year, they can win a championship. They can. Let me tell you how. So, first we're going to start off by saying this is a dysfunctional organization. It is, but it can be fixed, and it doesn't take all that much to be fixed, okay? So, to get this out of the way first, we have to say they chose the wrong guy. They chose the wrong guy. They chose to pay Tobias Harris a max contract. That is a horrible decision in the first place, okay? Tobias Harris, I once heard somebody say, when you need Tobias Harris to get you 17 points, he's going to get you 19. But when you need Tobias Harris to get you 25 points, he's going to get you 19. And I thought it was funny because it's not that he's a bad player, but he's not a star. He's not even close to being a star. He's a very good role player. He's a good shooter, you know? And going into the season, you would think that's what Philly needs, is more shooting around Simmons and Embiid, because neither of those guys can shoot, right? So he seemed like he'd be a good fit, but for the price tag, it limits the roster so much. And even with him getting paid as much as he was, they used their money left to sign another center who they were going to try to make play power forward, which is fine. Going into the year, we saw those 2 guys next to each other, Embiid and Horford, and we thought, you know what, this is going to be insane defensively, because Ben Simmons is also one of the most versatile defenders in the entire league. It looked good. It really did look good. But they chose the wrong guy. They have no initiator. Ben Simmons is a good playmaker in transition, but that's it. He's a great passer, but when he can't shoot, the lanes get clogged. They give him so much space. You know, it's a credit to him because he actually plays so well despite having no spacing and having no jump shot. So it's credit to him, but at the end of the day, he's still limited by that. And you don't need him to be a shooter, but you need shooters around him. And when he doesn't have that, I don't even think Ben Simmons has been unlocked, and he's a top 15 player in the NBA, and I think he's got another level to go to. So how do we unlock that level? How do we allow Simmons and Embiid to play together so that we can stop this conversation of trading one of them? You need a Jimmy Butler. Now, Jimmy Butler doesn't fix everything. He doesn't. But he's a ball handler who can shoot. He creates for others. And he's aggressive. And when it's time to score, he gets in there and he scores. He plays elite defense. And he leads the team. And that's something that's not going to show up on paper. But winning follows Jimmy buckets. Winning follows Jimmy Butler. It follows him. And it's not by accident. Now, unfortunately for Philly, there's not really another guy out there who plays anything like Jimmy Butler. And if there is somebody that you think will be able to play and have the same role as Jimmy Butler did, he's not going to come cheap. It's going to be very difficult to replace him. So let's look forward, because you can't go back and sign him to a contract. You can't go back and change everything that you did in the offseason. So now we just have to look at ways to improve the roster, because like I said before, this roster, there are ways to fix it. There are ways to make it better. Perfect? I don't know. There's a lot of problems with the roster, but there are ways to make it a lot better. So, first things first, they fired Brett Brown. In my opinion, that's a great move. Not because I hate Brett Brown, not because I think Brett Brown's a horrible coach. But from what I've heard, Brett Brown is extremely non-confrontational. He's a player's coach, but his voice just became stagnant. I could be wrong, but for one thing, I know that Brett said that he wanted Ben to take at least 1 3 a game a long time ago, and I heard that rubbed Ben Simmons the wrong way because Ben did not take another 3 the entire season. Brett Brown said nothing wrong. Brett Brown didn't even do anything offensive. He said it opens up more for our offense. I'm going to challenge him to take 1 a game at least. And Ben said no. He got mad. That doesn't sound like a great relationship. It sounds like the coach needs to have a little bit more authority than that, because Brett Brown kind of just rolled over after Ben Simmons didn't do that. And you know what? That's between him and Ben Simmons. But if you go out to the media, like, that's a conscious decision that you want to tell the media. You want to challenge Ben Simmons in front of all these people. And when he doesn't listen and he feels like that was an insult to him by telling him a way to make the team better, that sounds like you need a culture change. But I think firing Brett Brown was the right move. That's the first step in the right direction. Now, we got to fix the roster, because the best coach in the world, I don't know that Greg Popovich could have made this team a championship contender just because of how limited the roster is. So here's what we have to do. The roster's not bad if you just look at the names on the paper. But if you think about the fit, it doesn't really fit. It doesn't really work. So I have some trades that I wanted to look at. So when we look at what Philly needs, how they can fix this roster, they need more shooting, they need more spacing, and at the end of the day, a lot of these trades are going to include Al Horford, because his fit on this team is not good next to Embiid. So a lot of these trades are going to be trying to dump Al Horford somewhere. They might have to give up more assets to get off of his contract because of how big his contract is, but a lot of these trades are going to be Al Horford trades. So they're looking for spacing, they're looking for a ball handler, because they didn't have very many shot creators at all. So they're looking for shot creators, they're looking for ball handling, they're looking for the in-between game, and they're looking for potentially just some salary relief so they can make more moves in free agency. Okay, so let's look at this first trade I have. It sends Al Horford, Zaire Smith, and a first-round pick to the Hornets for Cody Zeller and Terry Rozier. Now, the reason that Zaire Smith and the first-round pick have been included is because of how bad Horford's contract is, especially at his age. So let's think about it for the Sixers. The Sixers are getting a backup center, which is good because they need a backup center behind Embiid so that they can especially give Embiid some rest, and they don't have to play him so much in the regular season. They're not relying too heavily on him because of his body. So they get Cody Zeller, who's a serviceable backup, probably better than most people think, and Terry Rozier, who's that shot creator, point guard, ball handler, in-between game, who fits pretty well next to the roster, I think. He plays really good off the ball, and he plays pretty well on the ball, too. A little bit of a questionable decision maker sometimes, but he's more talented at passing than you probably think. And I say a lot of this stuff because I am a Hornets fan. I'm not crazy about this trade, but I think that it's a realistic trade for both sides, and that would be something that I think could really help the Sixers to get a little bit more ball handling, more shot creation, and to get a backup center to sort of replace Al Horford with Cody Zeller. You got to get off the pick, you got to get off Zaire Smith, but at the end of the day, I think it should be considered. Another one I have, which is kind of interesting, it's basically just an Andrew Wiggins for Al Horford swap. They've got the same amount of years on their contract, making pretty much the same amount of money, and it's just stylistically, it's better. Because for the Warriors, if they were to get Horford, they have a center who's a good defender. He's versatile. He can stretch the floor, pick and pop. He's a good ball handler, good playmaker. It seems like it would be a pretty good fit next to Steph, Clay, and Draymond. And then Andrew Wiggins is a shot creator, ball handler. Maybe not your ideal target if you're the Sixers, but he fills a need. He fills a little bit of a need. And again, for the Warriors, it's not like you're taking on any more money. You're just exchanging players, basically the same contract. Interesting. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. I don't know how realistic it is, but I think it should be considered, just like the last trade. I think it's the exact same thing. But it's because I feel the same way. Then, this next trade I have is Sixers and Thunder get on the phone, talk to each other. And Chris Paul goes to Philly, and Tobias Harris goes to the Thunder. Now, the Thunder also get a first-round pick and a second-round pick. Looking at it, the Sixers might give up another pick just because of how bad this contract is for Tobias Harris. His contract is $34 million over 4 years, okay? And he does make more money over time. And Chris Paul's only got 2 years left at $41 million, which is still a lot of money. But Chris Paul gives the Sixers the exact point guard they need. Great with the ball in his hand, great decision maker, good defender. He's engaged, he's a leader in the locker room, he's a leader on the court. When you need a bucket, he has the in-between game, the three ball. He's got a nice layup package. He's perfect. He's perfect. But I think there's going to be a huge trade market for Chris Paul. I don't know, this is not the best offer, but it should be an offer out there. Tobias Harris allows the Thunder to get more picks, get almost, production-wise, points per game. They can get a really good player, overpaying, but they get some assets with it. They could always maybe look to flip him later. Just thinking. That's another interesting one where that would be a deal, because I don't think that Thunder would want to take on Horford. And Tobias Harris is a much better player than Horford right now. So it's enticing. It's interesting. That would be interesting if the Thunder want to kind of still play that in-between game where we continue to build assets but still be a good team. I don't know. We'll see. So, just a few more things to touch on here. Joel Embiid has to get in a little bit better shape. I don't think Embiid's in as bad of a shape as everybody makes him out to be. But I think that if he really got his body right, then I think he could be the most dominant center in the league. I already think that he's the best center in the league just from pure talent aspect. But Jokic has been playing better than him. Been way outplaying him. But I think Joel Embiid is the best center in the NBA when he's actually engaged. So let's get him engaged. Shouldn't be that hard because I can tell that he wants to win. You remember, everyone knows that infamous video of him crying after Game 7 of the Toronto Philly series last year. Some people were clowning him, and some people thought that was going to be motivation, and I thought it was going to be motivation too. I think that still shows that he cares about this. This means a lot to him. I think that if he gets his body right, I think he will be unstoppable. Now Ben Simmons has to shoot threes. And in Orlando, I'll give him credit. He was shooting more. Now, when I say more, I don't mean he was taking a couple a game. I mean, it was a couple every couple games. So, he's just got to be willing and open to taking those shots. I don't care if they don't go in, okay? If you start taking a bunch of them and they don't go in, okay, maybe don't take so many of them. But to keep the defense honest, first of all, I think that he can shoot. He has incredible touch, okay? I think that he just has to work on his form. And I know easier said than done. And maybe just like 32% from three. I think it changes this team dramatically. I think it really, really does. And then the last thing you can do, which is a big deal, see if you can sign some vet minimum shooters. Like they had in the 2018 team. They had Redick, who's not a vet min, but they had Bellinelli, Ersan Ilyasova. You just find guys like that who can help you stretch the floor. That's a big deal. It really is a big deal. You get that kind of team going with some of the trades. This team can win a championship. It really can. But you need to start making these moves. You have to be taking this job seriously. And we'll see where you go from there. But at the end of the day, there's stuff that Philly can do to be better. We'll just have to see if they make the moves. Well, thank you for watching. I'm Noah, and subscribe and like the video if you enjoy the content. I'm going to continue to be making these videos all the time. The off season is starting up, so I know that there's going to be a lot of different things I can talk about. A lot of these teams going into this next season. It's pretty interesting. It's an interesting off season, even though the free agency class maybe isn't that great. So yeah, so subscribe if you enjoyed it here, and see you guys next time.